When it comes to being happy while you have to function or perform in a very demanding situation, perfection is not the goal. And yes, I know this seems counterintuitive because we all want to do well. We all think once we get this one thing right, we achieve that one goal. Once we have perfectly provided what we think we need to get out there, that's when we will be happy. But if I've learned one thing from the high achievers that I work with who have to perform not only in very demanding situations, but often while they're being watched by thousands or even millions of people, it is this. Perfection is not the goal. Growth is. And more often than not, it's in the, let's call them imperfect situations, the moments when we F up, when things go wrong. It's in those moments when we actually step into our power because we have to. Nothing will actually stop you from going forward as much as trying to be perfect. But why is that, Guido, you might ask? It's because it's loaded with fear. It's coming from a complete place of lack. That worry that you don't deliver perfectly is why you open yourself up to criticism and judgment by others. That's what gets you stuck. That's what gets you stuck in your tracks. It gets you frozen like a rabbit in the headlights of a car. But here's the paradox. The moment you allow yourself to not be perfect, the moment you make room for mistakes, is the moment you actually move forward much faster with much more courage than you would have done before. By the way, if you're new to this channel, my name is Guido and I work with people that have to do well under pressure. Think of professional footballers, actors, singers, CEOs, the occasional pop star. And I help them create lasting confidence and, most importantly, happiness beyond just being successful. And how do we do that? We tackle the many layers that might be holding you back, like self-sabotage, limiting beliefs, or even the art of forgiveness. And today we're diving into why perfectionism paralyzes us. Because trust me, understanding this could be a game changer for you. So if you enjoyed this video, please help me by leaving a like and subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell so you get a notification when the next video drops. So back to being perfect or perfection or perfectionism. Many years ago, I got the best advice someone could have ever given me. While I was writing a program to help people with their audition routine, performers who had to sing to get into a musical or land a part in a film, I was so worried at that time that I was missing something, that I was getting it wrong, that it wasn't complete. And one of my mentors said to me, Guido, you have to put the stuff out at 80%. Needless to say, I was a little bit confused. I was actually shocked. And I asked him, why? Don't I need to aim for the best possible outcome? And he replied, yes. But the problem is when you aim for 100%, you will never put your work out. Your work that is so needed right now. But there's always room for improvement. There's always a new idea. There's always something you can add. And if you wait for the 100%, you will actually never launch because it never gets ready. You will never get your stuff out to the people who need it and who are actually waiting for it right now. However, when you put out the 80%, it will be loaded with quality content, and the 20% that are missing, you will learn back from the feedback that are people giving you or that people are giving you. And that was mind-blowing to me because it completely set me free. A couple of days ago, I had a little funny incident, and please bear with me with this one because it does make sense in a moment. While I was cooking, I dropped an egg on the kitchen floor and I got really angry at first because I hate throwing away food, of course, and I really didn't want to clean up the mess. I was hungry. But here's a little something that you might not know about me. I believe life speaks to us every moment of the day, and sometimes I have this crazy habit of asking the old knowing internet if there's any symbolism in what is happening right now. Quite frankly, it entertains me, and sometimes I get great ideas and insights from this. 2 days ago, when I dropped that egg on the floor, and while I was cleaning up that kitchen floor, I was asking my favorite AI, because I could speak to it, is there any symbolism to dropping an egg? And it reminded me of a song from Leonard Cohen. The song is called Anthem, and it contains one brilliant line that really stuck out to me. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. I just love this so much. And the AI pointed out that it symbolizes that perfection never works because it will stop you dead in your tracks. But if you work with what you've got right now, you will always and forever improve and grow and share what you're here to share. So here's the bit that's really important for me. If you want perfect results, if you want to be outstanding, if you want to reach your goals, striving for perfection won't get you there, but working with what you have right now and allowing imperfection, letting yourself off the hook for the mistakes you might be making, will open the door to greatness. It's the crack that lets the light in. So if you're struggling with the old imposter syndrome and the old not feeling good enough, even though evidence shows that you are doing pretty well, remind yourself that you are not striving for perfection, but for growth. And making room for mistakes will allow you to get better results. Please hear this. Let me repeat this. Making room for mistakes will allow you to get better results. One might even be saying imperfection will actually get you perfecter results, if that's a word. Here's another little anecdote before I give you 3 action steps that will help you. And I think this will actually really color in why allowing ourselves to make mistakes is so important. 4 or 5 years ago, I went back into a musical and I was asked to play this huge part that I never expected to be playing in my life. And I hadn't been on stage for many years. And so I agreed. But it's one of the densest scripts I ever had to perform. It's probably one of the densest scripts that has ever been written for a male performer. And the part is called Professor Henry Higgins in the old classic musical My Fair Lady. And it's a professor teaching about language with quite a few songs, some of them 7, 8 minutes long, and he's continuously on stage. So, there is a lot of room for mistakes. And with that vast amount of material I had to deliver every night, a perfect show was really hard to land. I knew that, so I made a deal with myself. I allowed myself 3 mistakes each night before I allowed myself to get nervous. Because what would happen in the past is if I cracked a note, sang the wrong note, maybe forgot a word, made an early or late entrance, or any like this, stumbled on stage, that would follow me around for the rest of the performance because you're trying to be so perfect that you're holding on to that mistake. So you're not doing that again and you're trying to focus extra hard. But what really happens is you're not present in what you're doing in that moment. And learning to let go of mistakes instantly and going back in what you're doing, into what you're doing, that's key. Of course, you go back later on and you can think about how could I have done that better without, we get to that later in the action steps. But allowing the mistakes to happen allowed myself to actually deliver a better performance. So if you're ready to embrace the cracks, here are a few action steps that will help you today. The first one is start before you're ready. Ask yourself, what's one thing I've been holding back because it's not perfect yet? And now commit to putting it out there at 80%, whether it's a project, an idea, a conversation, applying for an audition, or recording a YouTube video. When you don't feel ready, focus on what's complete enough to serve its purpose now. Perfection can follow later, and it will. Secondly, reframe your mistakes. And I cannot stress enough how important this is. Every time something doesn't go as planned, pause and reflect. What can I learn from this crack? Let's call them cracks, not mistakes. What can I learn from this mishap? How can this moment illuminate something I need to see? Write it down. It's often where you get your greatest insights. And that change of perspective often takes the entire stress out of the situation. It takes this icky feeling out. I'm sure you all know that feeling when you make a mistake and sometimes 3 weeks later, sometimes 3 months later, we think about it and we have to shiver for the one thing we've done wrong. And that change in perspective can take that stress completely out. And then thirdly, celebrate your progress, not perfection. At the end of the day, reflect on one thing you did that moved you closer to your goals, even if it felt small or messy. Take messy action. Gratitude for progress builds momentum. And one of the best sayings I've ever heard is action will always trump perfection. So go back, write down those 3 steps right now before you might be pulled into the next thing by social media. And I hope you find this helpful. And if you do, please leave me that like and subscribe to the channel because it really does help me help you even more.